Good morning. Welcome to this morning's installment of Your Spirit Life. Thank you so much for taking a moment to join us. This morning, I have two questions. What do you want, and why do you want it? Why is it that we as human beings are always seeking after more? If we get in physical shape, we want to get in better shape. If we have a house, we want a nicer house. If you have an automobile, we would desire a nicer automobile, something newer. Maybe then you move into classic, older cars. Anyway, we're always seeking to improve and to increase what it is we have. If we're on a job, we're seeking promotion. We seek to expand, to increase in what we're doing. Why is that? Why do we always seek more? I'm going to share with you today why that is and why it's really important that we do not ignore that drive to succeed, because it's encoded in our DNA by our Creator that we should always seek to expand, to reach beyond our measure. In other words, if you can reach 5 feet, our Creator would have us to reach for 6. If we can reach 6 feet, reach for 7. He wants us to expand and to strive for more. And I'm going to explain why. See, we're driven to succeed for our entire lives. I've done it my entire life. I started out, I was working full time, going to school full time. And people say, well, why are you doing that? Because I want more. I want better. I worked a couple of 2 or 3 jobs at the same time. At one point, I was an environmental specialist. I was a mortgage loan originator, and I bought and sold silver bullion coins for a company. I did all that simultaneously because it was something in me driving me to be more, to do more, to have more. And then I thought when I reached my 50s, I would slow down, but I didn't. I thought when I reached my 60s, I would slow down. Now I'm on the other side of my middle 60s, and I'm launching an entire new life. I'm looking for new conquests, new horizons to overtake. And this morning at about 3:15, I woke up, eyes big as saucers, wide awake, with these two questions. What do you want, and why do you want them? Actually, I was thinking about it before I went to sleep last night, and it was on my mind when I woke up, and the Lord began to deal with me. I had to get up and start making notes on what he was bringing to me. And what I want to share is the parable of the talents found in the book of Matthew. It's Matthew, the 25th chapter, beginning at the 14th through the 29th verse. Now, this is the story, the parable that Jesus told of the 3 servants and their master. There was a story of a very wealthy man, a wealthy lord, and he had 3 servants, and he was going away to a far country, and he gave the first servant 5 talents or $5. He gave the second servant 2 talents or $2 or 2 increments of money. And he gave the third servant, 1 talent. So he didn't give him any instructions. He just gave it to him. Boom, he took off. He returned later, and he called the 3 servants before him. The first servant, who he'd given 5 talents, he said, okay, so servant number 1, what have you done with that which I've given you? He said, well, master, I took the 5 talents you gave me and I put it to use, and I doubled it to now I have 10 talents. He said, well done, my good and faithful servant. Enter thou into the joy of your Lord. Now listen to that. He said, now Jesus at the outset of the story said, the kingdom of heaven is like this, or like unto. So he said, enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. That's very powerful. And I'm going to get back to that in a minute. The second servant, he said, hey, what did you do? Servant number 2 said, well, Lord, I took your 2 talents and I turned them into 4. He said, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. And the third servant, he said, okay, servant number 3, tell me what you've done. I'm excited to hear your report. And he said, well, Lord, I knew you were a harsh and hard man. I knew that you were a man of difficulty, and I was afraid to do anything with what you gave me. So I took it and hid it in the ground. And here it is, the one talent that you gave me. The servant was thinking, wow, I've done something because I took care. I was afraid to do anything. I was ruled by fear and dictated to by the environment. So I took what you gave me and hid it away, did not put it to use. The master was highly upset. He said, thou wicked and slothful servant. You knew I was a hard man. You knew what I required. You knew my way of doing things. He said to those who work for him, he said, hey, take this guy's talent and give it to the one who has 10 talents. Now, notice that he didn't give it to the one that had 4. He said, give it to the one who had 10. And then the scripture says that he that hath shall be given, and to him who hath not shall be taken away and given to him that has. So what's the moral of that lesson? Well, the one servant, he suffered loss because of his slothfulness, because he didn't desire more. He didn't seek to be more. He didn't seek to expand and enlarge himself. Now remember, this is a parable. This is a lesson that Jesus is teaching to his disciples. And there's a principle here. And the principle is this: if you know that your master is one who is incessantly creating more, doing more, building more, seeking to be more, to do more, to have more, he would, of course, require more out of those whom he created. And then when the master said, enter thou into the joy. Now, remember, the other week I was teaching on the presence of God. Psalm 16:11. In thy presence there is what? Fullness of joy. And at his right hand there are pleasures forevermore. What that means is that because this servant took what he had and maximized it, he stretched himself as far as he could stretch. He reached beyond his measure. He wasn't satisfied with mediocrity. He wasn't satisfied with a little bit of success. He wanted as much success as he could possibly get. That is the reason why we want what we want. That is why, the why behind the what. So when you desire more, it's to glorify the one who created you. Because when you are successful and you are a person who reverences the creator, won't you say, God blessed me with this, God gave me this? That's my testimony. I remember when I lived in a car on the lakefront. I remember when I slept in a car on the lakefront. I remember when I was struggling financially and didn't understand why this faith thing was not working for me. But I had to keep at it. I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I persisted to reach beyond my measure. And what I'm saying to you this morning, don't quit, don't give up, don't stop reaching beyond the end of how far you can stretch. The scripture talks about enlarging your territory, the prayer of Jabez. Lord, increase me, enlarge my territory, make me stronger, wiser, better. Why? Because I want to enter into the joy of my Lord. That's what it said. Enter into the joy of your Lord. That's what it said. It didn't say a Lord. It didn't say the Lord. It said your Lord. What that meant was that these other two servants who took what they had and maximized it, they learned, they sat to learn, to understand what they didn't know. They expanded on it. They learned and took what they had and put it to use so they could be better, stronger, and wiser. And what that did was it demonstrated to their master that they had his spirit, that they had his vision, his desire, his drive to achieve and to acquire, to be better. And then right below that, Jesus said, there will be a time that I come and I will separate the sheep from the goats. I'll put the sheep on my right and the goats on my left. And he said, I will say unto them that because when I was hungry, you fed me. Because when I was naked, you clothed me. When I was homeless, you gave me shelter. You took me in. And you'll say, well, Lord, when did we do this? And then Jesus said, when you did it unto the least of those that are mine, you did it unto me. So when we reach to strive to be more, this is my why for what I want. My want is to inspire people, to cause people to want to rise up and be supernatural beings, to live extraordinary lives, to be super or supranatural beings. Well, what is supernatural? Supernatural means that you are superior to those on your level. See, supernatural is that which is above you in a different dimension in the spirit realm. But supernatural means that you surpass that by which you're surrounded. You supersede your environment. You don't become satisfied because you have a basket that's full. You will go, if you don't have a basket, you will make a basket and fill it up. That is the drive. That is the tenacity that our Creator has. Well, how do you know that? I know that because the universe, number one, the scientists say is still expanding, which is amazing to me, given the vast expanse of our universe. But what's also interesting is our technology can only see 5% of the entire universe. There's 95% that we cannot see. There's 95% of God's creation that is invisible to us. How many other worlds are there out there? How many other solar systems like ours? How many other suns? How many other bodies that can support life? These are things that we will experience and explore. This is a stop off on this planet, on this realm, in this physical realm. Once we leave this, we evolve, we become beings of light, and we move into a different sphere of existence beyond this planet. And to show that, we only use 5% of our brain. Maybe, well, I won't even say 5%. The average person, I think, is between 3 and 5% of our brain we use. The rest, we don't even utilize. Why? 5% of our DNA is usable. 95% of our DNA in our bodies is called dark DNA, which means scientists don't know exactly what it's for. I believe it's a part of us, a part of our essence. Our brains are a part of us that will open up and expand. And I believe in this lifetime that we can expand our mental capacity. We can even cause certain parts of our DNA to begin to come alive and come into light. I'm going to get into how to go about doing that, but there are ways to increase the intellect using that which we see every day. I'm going to do a teaching on, maybe I won't, but I'm going to do a teaching, but it probably won't be here. I'm probably going to do a masterclass on how we can take the natural things by which we're surrounded to increase our mentality, our intellect, our capacity to understand, our sensitivity to spiritual consciousness. There are things we can do that God has given us. Put it right all around us, right before us, and we don't even see it. But remember this. Why do you want what you want? And what is it that you want? Why do you want it? Because you're driven to succeed, to imitate your Creator. God is still creating. He's still building worlds. He's still saying, let there be. And so should we be saying, let there be in our lives. Let there be a business. Let there be a ministry. Let there be a social, societal outreach. Let there be a change made through me. Let there be more of what I'm doing Remember, Jesus said, the words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Until next time, allow God's grace to continue to flow in your life as a mighty river. And as I always say, I salute the divinity, the God, the creator that is within you. God bless. Have an amazing day.